Well, guys, this is a special treat. Our next guest is set to take on TJ Dillashaw at the ultra-stacked UFC 280 as he defends his UFC bantamweight title. The champion himself is in the building, the human backpack, MMA's Iron Sheik, who's coming to Abu Dhabi to break backs and make everybody humble. The funk master himself, Aljamain Sterling. Dude, welcome to Submission Radio, dude. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me. That was a funny intro, the Iron Sheik.
Well, we used to do that for Al Iaquinta, actually, because of that infamous Iron Sheik moment that he had here in Sydney. But now, obviously, you're the new Iron Sheik. You're here to make every humble. Got to ask off the bat, man, what do you love about the Sheik, Sheiky baby so much? And when did you first identify with the legend himself?
I mean, ever since that fight, actually, for Al, the post-fight interview, I just found it hysterical.
Yeah.
And I knew the Iron Sheik from just the WWE, just the wrestling days. And I forgot how funny the guy was.
Dude, yeah, I was going to say, if you're the Iron Sheik, who do you feel is like your Hulk Hogan?
My Hulk Hogan might be, maybe, I don't want to say Piotr. Maybe Piotr. Maybe.
Yeah, that would make sense. Obviously, like, you know, the clash of two icons. Oh, look at this, the Funkmaster shirt's coming out. Just like the Iron Sheik, man, you obviously, you made everyone humble when you defeated Piotr at UFC 273. I know that you always believed in yourself. Your coaches always believed in you. But be honest, man, how important was it just for you to also be finally given that respect, you know, from the fans and in general, the MMA community?
Honestly, if I'm just being brutally honest, I really don't care what people think about me. Like, it is what it is. People are gonna think whatever they want to think, regardless of what you say. And I think the buildup of the past 13 months leading up to that fight, that rematch, kind of solidified that for me in my head. I already knew that, but even after the fight, just leading up to it, I was just like, man, this just really signifies how people are. Once there's a narrative, you're painted as the bad guy or the good guy, doesn't matter. People's minds won't change unless they want it to change for themselves. And it is what it is. So you can't live for other people. You got to live for yourself. So for me, I mean, I really didn't give a shit. I mean, even winning or losing, all I cared about was having a good performance. If I had a good performance, I would have been happy regardless. So I guess people showing respect now. I mean, I guess it's okay. I mean, they were respecting me before the first Yan fight, and then all of a sudden it flip-flops. So it just goes to show you how this world can really just flip-flop upside down, like in the blink of an eye. So it is what it is, man. Take it with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, these people don't know me personally. I'm just here to do my job and entertain, and I like to just keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully that's good enough. I'm doing good enough at my job to just keep them tuned in.
Yeah, man. Well, it's a great mindset to have. And also, obviously, like, you're a veteran. You've been in the company for a really long time. Do you remember when that kind of clicked in for you? Because I know, like, I imagine for a lot of fighters, that is something they grapple with. We see it all the time, actually, with big names in the company where, you know, the fan perception, what people are saying online, the criticisms get to them. You're at a point where, you know, you can block all that out. But do you remember a point in your UFC run where we were actually able to start blocking that kind of stuff out?
You know, I like to learn from other people's mistakes. Mm-hmm. I like to learn from their journey. This way I don't have to make the mistakes, or I can see how they did things and see how I could do it better. There were some points in my career where I kind of let the media get to me, trying to fight the style of fight that they wanted to see me fight. It's as if they were not happy with me going out and doing what I was doing, even though it was very dominant. They want to see more. They want to see me actually get into a fist fight where I'm like, well, if I can subdue my opponent and they can't hit me, for me, that's a win, you know? So I've had some fights where I tried to be the stand-up guy, and I kind of learned that along the path of my journey, that it doesn't really matter what people say or do. They're going to still have an opinion. And I think that's when it clicked for me. Like, yeah, I knew all the other stuff all along, but then I realized it doesn't really matter. People are going to say what they want to say. They're going to have an opinion. They're going to judge you. And I think once you make peace with that in your mind and in your heart, you could just live freely and just not give two shits about what anyone else says or think. At the end of the day, it's all about your small bubble of people that you actually care about their opinions from, your family, your close friends. That's their coaches. That's really it. You know, all the other stuff is just, it's noise. It's nice to have the respect. It's nice to want to have people that want to take pictures with you or want an autograph, that type of thing. But I don't think that type of stuff should change the way that you live your life and perceive yourself, if that makes sense, you know? And I think once you're in this game long enough, you kind of see how, I don't like using this term, but it's pretty much spot on with how the fans can be. They can be very, very fickle, you know? And at the end of the day, like, I do understand that they pay their money. They have a right to an opinion. But when you start letting those opinions eat you up or dictate your life too much, that's when it becomes a problem. So I realized that a while back, and to go from the uncrowned champ to all of a sudden the paper champ overnight, I found that very, very ironic, because they dubbed Petr Yan the paper champ. Then after our first fight, then I became the paper champ. So it was just crazy how things just go 180 in a blink of an eye. So getting to see that firsthand again, I was like, at this point, yeah, man, I just really have to even care less about, I guess, what people, how they perceive me. You know, I mean, records speak for themselves. Numbers don't lie. You know, so people can say whatever they want to say. At the end of the day, my name is going to be the one that's in the history books for years and decades to come. So I think I've done a pretty good damn job at my job so far, and I just want to keep the good times coming in and just keep cementing my name in those history books.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, you're the one stepping in the cage, not other people. And also, you're one win away for having the most wins in UFC bantamweight history. So you must be doing something right.
I should have it. They made my fight with Renan Barão a catchweight bout the week of the fight.
Yeah.
So that one never got counted to the bantamweight wins, which I didn't know until whenever it was that I found out. So I kind of got shafted a little bit on that. I should be up there already, but what better way to solidify that mark with beating I don't want to say a pioneer, but I guess a legend of the weight class in TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 100% a legend. And we'll touch on that in a second. But I find it funny that, like, you were kind of villainized, you know, into those Petr fights. Do you find it funny how now you're kind of almost making your babyface turn, because you're kind of fighting who was at one point one of the biggest villains in MMA?
Yeah. Again, man, it just goes back to, I think with each fight, you got to look at it as like a role. There's almost like a character you have to play. You don't have to go like super crazy with it. But when you think about it, there's always a storyline. There's like a good guy and a bad guy, or just any type of storyline. Two good guys. Who do you want to see win? That type of thing. So when you have that type of matchup, I think this one, like going from the Petr fight, you know, I came in highly touted, should have been fighting for the vacant title, but they gave it to him, fighting Jose Aldo coming off of a loss. And somehow, some way, I had a very weird fight with him, and the tides changed, and that was the storyline leading into the rematch. And then with the rematch, I think even in that third round, after I took his back for the second time and I got him down again, I just realized, like, yeah, I knew I wasn't crazy this entire time. I've been saying what I've been saying for a reason, and I knew I was as good as I said I was. So coming into this next one with TJ, it's going to be the same thing, just kind of giving a storyline to give the fans something to care about, you know, not just another fight that's on the card. This is a very pivotal fight for the bantamweight division, pivotal fight for history, and I think a pivotal fight for both of our careers and legacy. You know, for TJ to come back, if he were to beat me, I think that's huge for him. I guess just with all the accolades and the adversity he's had with, you know, taking PEDs and then coming back and then doing it the right way, allegedly. I think it's huge for him in that storyline. And for me, the storyline, you know, obviously I beat a guy who's one of the forefathers of this weight class and has the one, I think we're both tied for the most wins in bantamweight history. So this fight could be painted in so many different pictures. And I think that there's a lot at stake for whoever wins this fight. And I like to think it's going to be me getting my hand raised.
Yeah, you mentioned the history there, Aljo. I got to ask, man, like, obviously it's a bit of a tied question, but like, given the history, is there like any part of you that genuinely thinks about or is concerned whether TJ's cheating at all anyway heading into this fight? Or is it more of a thing where it's kind of a fun way to promote the fighting, maybe even get in his head a little bit leading into it?
Well, definitely gonna get in his head a little bit, as much as I can. That's just always my thing. I like to talk shit before the fights. It makes the fight more interesting. You know, it's not just two guys signing the dotted line, just showing up and fighting. Like, all the respectful way. I'm like, dude, if I want to see that, I can go to a bar, get the two guys drunk, talk some shit, and be an instigator, and there'll be a fight. You know what I mean? So, you know, there's something better when there's something at stake where one guy is saying something or one girl, and someone has to eat their words, you know? So I like to raise the stakes a bit. You know, I don't really like to bet money, but I'm kind of betting my paycheck. And I have thought about it. And at the end of the day, I can't control that. That's something I can neither dictate, control, predict. If I had to make a prediction, I would say there's definitely no doubt in my mind that guy is fighting some type of doctor or little microdosing or whatever, however that shit works. I guarantee you he's finding some type of way to get an edge once again, as he's done his entire UFC career. So, I mean, I already make peace with it. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, I made the acknowledgement that I'm going to step into there with this guy, knowing that there's a high chance of this happening. And it is what it is, man. I feel like this is not going to be the first guy I fought that's been on some subs, some extra subs. So I think my hard work and skill set is enough to get the job done before, and I think he can get the job done again.
Just quickly, how do you make peace with something like that? I imagine that's not something that comes overnight, nor am I saying that TJ is necessarily on something, but how do you make peace with something like that? And does it, like, how does that affect you? Do you work harder? I know in your vlogs you're talking a lot about blue collar hard work, but yeah, how do you come to that decision that you're like, all right, it is what it is, I don't really care, if that's even the right word to use?
Yeah, just honestly, just working harder. That's been the main theme for me. Like, even this past week, we sparred. Normally, we'd split the sparring rounds when we're doing 5s, or even when we're doing 3s, we'll try to make it really, really hard, either doing a fresh guy each round or a fresh guy, one guy for the first 2 rounds, and then third round, you have a fresh guy coming in. This way, you can get to work a little bit. So earlier sparring this week, Thursday, I did a fresh guy, first round 1, fresh guy round 2, swapped it, fresh guy round 3, swapped it, fresh guy round 4, and then on round 5, we just went crazy on the pads. And that's the type of mindset I think you gotta have going into a matchup like this. I mean, TJ's MO has been cardio. You know, that's like his biggest thing that people know him for, because he'll keep pushing the pace, never getting tired. And I just don't think he's gonna be getting tired in this one. And for some reason, again, for whatever reasons, I don't think he's going to be doing the type of work that I'm doing. Again, I respect the guy's skill set, but I think at some point you kind of got to just make peace with it. And just, I guess the best way for me is just, if I could work hard enough, it could be my night. I mean, at the end of the day, his usage of PDs won't make his fight IQ better. And I don't think he's fought anyone with my type of style. He can say whatever he wants in terms of it's an easy fight. Striking is embarrassing. All this stuff he's saying, like I said, the trash talk, someone's got to eat their words, and someone's going to look very, very stupid. I just really don't think it's going to be me. You know, the same thing with Petr Yan calling me a chicken, a coward, and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, I didn't get here by accident. So if you think all the stuff that you want to say, I mean, there's one way we're going to find out is going to be in a couple of weeks. So I just make peace with it. The main thing I need to focus on is just getting my weight down. I'm a very, very big guy for the weight class. TJ is a lot smaller. So I don't think his weight cut is going to be nowhere near as hard as mine. And I think that's really it. Mentally, just going in there saying, hey, man, this is out of our control. But what we can control is our conditioning. We can control our pace. We can control our techniques. And we can control how we manage each round. And I think that's the mindset you got to kind of have going into any type of fist fight.
Yeah, man. Well, look, I think a lot of people training to become fighters or fighters themselves early in their journey are learning a lot from this interview, thanks to some of this wisdom that you're dropping on us, Aljo. I'm curious, man. Like you mentioned earlier, you go, I'm fighting a pioneer. And then obviously TJ's had his issues that we've sort of just spoken about. But do you see him as a pioneer? Do you see him as one of the most successful former champions? Do you kind of not, do you block that part out because of the stuff that's happened with the controversies and the PEDs? How do you sort of view him as you go into the fight?
I view TJ as I don't want to say legend, but He's one of the greatest of all time in the bantamweight division. I mean, that's fact, just based on the numbers of wins that he's had, him winning the belt. But I know firsthand that he has not done that the clean way like you should. I don't want to say like most of us, because I know most of these motherfuckers out there cheating anyway too. So, yeah, we got USADA. USADA didn't catch TJ. The New York State Athletic Commission caught TJ because it's too expensive to test for EPO, as they say. So I think my way of viewing TJ, yeah, he's good, but he's never done anything honest. And that lets me know he's got some type of mental weakness in there, and I could crack it and find that chink of his armor somewhere in there within those 25 minutes. And I entirely plan on doing that. I think once he feels how much bigger I'm going to be, how much more imposing my will would be in terms of the wrestling department. I mean, he compares his D1 wrestling to my D3 wrestling. I was like, I'm a 2-time All-American. I don't know about you, but for what I remember, you never even placed in a national tournament. So you can say whatever you want about D1, D3. Those guys who never made the podium usually are guys that might more than likely would struggle just to even get to the national tournament in the D3 level and even get on the podium of trying to win the national tournament in the D3 level. So when guys say like stuff like that, I just find it cute. It just kind of just tickles me a little bit, So it lets me know he's a little bit nervous, and he's definitely got some concerns. He can sit there and smile in the cage as much as he wants, yell at Bruce Buffer. I know all his mannerisms. I know all the things he's going to do. And I think he's an older cat now. I think he's a little bit more of a shell of himself. Maybe that was a testament to how good Corey Sandhagen is in his stand-up. But he's fighting a guy who can strike. He's fighting a guy who can wrestle. And I think that's going to be the biggest difference in this type of matchup. So I'm going in there. I respect everything he's done. That's my mindset. And, yeah, I think he's one of the greatest of all times of this bantamweight division. But at the same time, I know none of that was done on a clean slate. So it makes me feel a little bit more at ease that I did it the right way. And when we do fight, we're going to find out who's the best guy.
I think he's regardless, he's a massive name. And like you said, a big deal and a legend in the division. So a potential win over him is massive for anybody's career. So I'm really looking forward to this fight. And I saw in your vlog on YouTube, you're obviously doing some film study, which comes across very clearly, like when you're talking about knowing even his mannerisms and things like that. You've done your homework. But what were your biggest takeaways from that Corey fight? I wonder if for you that fight looked different to any other fights just because of the time in between and obviously him being a little bit older. And which fight for you sort of showed the most about TJ while you were doing the film study?
I mean, I think that's the most telling one. I think that fight with Corey Sandhagen, he showed that he was really fighting just to win the fight, not necessarily to finish. And I know some people give me criticism, but sometimes it's one of those things where you get a certain guy that's standing in front of you. It might not be the easiest to get them out of there. So you got to do whatever you got to do to win. And I think his path of least resistance was trying to tie up Sandhagen, slow him down as much as he can. I think he tried to backpack him, which we all got to see that he's not very good at doing that. He can get to the legs, get to your hips. But outside of that, that's really all it's going to be. So my biggest takeaways were he fought a lot in the southpaw position. He's been doing that a lot more frequently in his last few fights. I don't know if he's feeling more comfortable in that position or maybe something with his knees. So there's a lot of question marks there, but there's still some tendencies, some things he does that I got to see, the coaches got to see. And I still have some other people looking at stuff because I'm one of those guys, I don't need to game plan for weeks. I can see some stuff, see some tendencies, make some adjustments. And as long as we have those key words that we're working on, and then when you tell me out there in the middle of the fight, I'll be able to pull the trigger and remember, So I'm in a good spot, So watching that fight with him, watching the fight with Henry Cejudo, him kind of getting chucked over to the side and just fell over, and then getting pounded out, So it's good things. That fight, he got knocked out very, very easily at 125. And then at 135, he's able to take these monster shots from Corey Sandhagen, which I don't understand. So I do understand the brain fluid thing where you dehydrate yourself a lot more and you try to recover and you don't do a good recovery. There's not enough fluid in there. So the impact of the shots are going to have a lot more of an effect on the body and probably shut the lights off a lot easier. And I think that's what that was with him versus Cejudo. But he just looked like a little scrawny little nugget, So I just can't wait to step on it. I feel like it's gonna be big brother versus little brother. Like he's a talented dude. He's dangerous, but I think once I get a hold of him, I think we're gonna get a very good idea of how the entire fight's gonna kind of play out.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm so excited for the fight. But hey, man, you mentioned it yourself, the Nuggets. Speaking of the Nugs, it is, of course, in the States. We're heading into fall, fresh ball fall, the season of pumpkin spice. So make sure your balls look nice. And obviously, today's chat with Aljo brought to you by our good friends at Manscaped, a company here to make sure that your foliage isn't the only thing shedding its excess leaves. Shit, even Mother Nature knows it's time to lose the excess clutter for fall. Make sure your junk is as smooth as eggshells with Manscaped's Platinum Package 4.0, where you get the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the pound-for-pound greatest grooming tool in the world with its ceramic blade, the skin-safe technology, its waterproof LED light, and the wireless charging dock, and so many things more. I have mine just living in my shower. I do my face, my head, and my balls, and the Johnson, and then I just chuck it on the wireless charging dock and just move on with my life, giving me the confidence that only fresh balls can. And in the Platinum Package 4.0, you also get the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, the Ultra Premium Body Wash, the Ultra Premium, dude, 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, the Ultra Premium deodorant, the Crop Preserver anti-chafing ball deodorant to get you back in the game, and the Crop Preserver ball spray toner to make sure everything smells fantastic. And the free gifts, boxes, and the Shed travel bag. Can't go wrong, isn't that right, Dennis?
Oh, yeah, man. And by the way, the great thing about it is it stays charged forever. Like for me, it's lifesaver, 2 seconds, got to go, but it's ready for a quick trim or whatever you need to do. And you guys can save 20% off and get free shipping today with a code word submission. Go to Manscaped right now, get this amazing package and change your life forever. And while you're changing your life, what about making some serious cash? We've got big events coming up like UFC 280, and there's only one place to go to make all your bets, and that is with our friends at MyBookie, who are offering you guys 100% match deposit bonus right now with the code word submission. That's right. All you guys got to do is use the promo code submission to claim your deposit bonus, dollar for dollar, all the way up to $1,000. And what about some of these big fights coming up around the corner at UFC 280? Sean O'Malley at a plus 268, Petr Yan at a minus 370. Where are you guys going to lean on that one? Are you going to make some serious cash there? Of course, we're talking to the champ himself, Aljamain Sterling, minus 178, TJ Dillashaw, plus 139, and Islam Makhachev, minus 161. You got Charles Oliveira plus 126. All the bets, all the money, all of the great odds. Only one place to go. That is with the code word submission at MyBookieCast.
Yeah, that's right. Make it rain like Melbourne weather. Also, keep yourself protected. As everybody knows here in Australia, Optus, a data breach. Optus, one of the biggest internet service providers here. Over 9 million customers affected. Don't let that be you. Credit card details, passwords, logins, all sorts of data can be stolen. NordVPN here to help you so that even your internet service provider cannot see any of the websites that you frequent, especially the spicy hentai ones. A VPN is basically like a big block from your computer to the outside world. Plus, you can change your geolocation with the touch of a button. I'm looking at my computer, bang! Now I'm in Mexico all of a sudden, and now I'm in Brazil, and now I'm in Canada, and now I'm in the States, enjoying all sorts of their Netflix offerings and keeping myself protected. And when I've got the VPN firing away, you don't even notice it in the background. It doesn't slow down your computer or your internet like a lot of other ones in the past. And also, no throttling, speed throttling, and no buffering or anything like that when you're enjoying those spicy 4K videos. Isn't that right, Dennis?
Yeah, man. Look, the deal is amazing. You guys get a huge discount, but plus you also get 4 months for free. That's right, 4 months for free. And by the way, it's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. It's basically like buying a cup of coffee if you do choose to sign up, except not only is it delicious goodness, but also privacy, discounts, all sorts of amazing things that NordVPN brings with itself. You guys could do that right now with this exclusive deal at nordvpn.com/submission, or click the link in the description below. Trust me, you have to try NordVPN. It would change your life. The best apps in the game as well, on your phone, on your computer. Do it today.
Easy breezy. All right, with the bills paid, got to ask you, Aljo, this, you being a champion obviously feels like something that's been sort of a long time coming. I remember you bursting into the scene and you know, making a UFC debut. And obviously, you had to go through such a hard road with all the adversity, and now you're finally the champion. And I wonder if it for so long you were sort of chasing guys in the division, chasing the belt, I should say. Does it feel different defending the belt now and being the champion as opposed to, you know, trying to capture it as you go into this fight? And then also, now that you're sort of in this position where you can call the shots a bit, when you look at the division, who do you think potentially, deserves the next shot? And because bantamweight is so hot, who sort of excites you the most as far as, the million prospects that are sort of coming up in the division?
Yeah, there's so many good guys. I'm honestly not even looking that far ahead. I watch everybody. I watched the fights last night. There's a lot of talented people out there. That kid Santos, who just beat Castaneda, who was on a, I think, 3-fight winning streak. For him to finish a guy like that after he was being rocked multiple times and comes back almost Charles Oliveira style from the same camp. So I watch all these guys as all these quality contenders coming up and people that aren't ranked or that were ranked and no longer ranked after one fight or so. I'm excited for the future of the division. But yeah, when it comes to winning the belt, I do think sometimes people come into the UFC or they come into a promotion and they think like they're going to just run through the competition and go 5-0, fight for a world title in their 6th or 5th fight. And I'm like, it doesn't quite work like that. Sometimes you're going to run into a roadblock. So it might take you a little bit longer on that journey. For me, it took, I debuted 2014, 2021, I win the belt by DQ. I defended the belt, showed everybody that was an off night for nutritional reasons, as I've been saying for 13 months. And I beat a guy that people thought that would beat me by murder any way he wants, So it just goes to show you that there's going to be a lot of adversity in this sport. If you come in short-sighted thinking like you're just going to win the belt, it's okay to have that mindset, but do have a plan B, plan C, some type of backup plan or which route you can take to get yourself back to that goal, if that makes sense, because sometimes I think people, when they stumble, they don't necessarily recover the way that they think that they could have because they never thought it was possible that they can lose, and I was one of those guys at a point, and then when it happened, I've lost in wrestling before, and all those losses helped me reevaluate. Hey, you lost in the tournament. You're no longer in the championship bracket. You're in the wrestlebacks. Let's try to take 3rd place. Your mentality has to switch. I see guys who are used to winning tournaments. They're ranked number 1 in the season all year long. They lose one of the matches, whether it's semifinals. They'll go from one match away from placing 1st or 2nd to taking 6th or injury defaulting out of the tournament because mentally they just break and they can't recover. And those are always the best time to get guys like that who are the big wigs, but they're having a mental breakdown and they can't pull themselves together to come back and bounce back and show the rest of the tournament and their competitors what they're made of, So for me, it might have taken a while, but I think it was all with the process of helping me groom my skill set and get my mindset ready to be in a position like this, And now that I'm here, it kind of feels like, I want to go. This is what I've been chasing the whole time. Like last night, literally, I didn't write goals for 2022 in the New Year's. At least I don't recall doing that. So I wrote them out again, like how I want to finish the year, so year-end goals. And, I got a couple of things that I wrote down on there that I would like to accomplish before 2022 is over. And then, of course, 2023 is going to come and I'm going to have to reevaluate some things again and try to get myself some new type of things to strive for. Because I do believe in life, if you're not having a type of purpose, something that you're living for or working towards, it's almost like, I don't want to say like make it sound like this, but it almost feels pointless. It's like, what else are you getting up out of bed for? There's got to be something that motivates you, that you are passionate about, that makes you're eager, whether or not you're working a day job and you can't get to that passion right away every single day. But when you do get that moment, you're grateful for it. You're excited about it. And I think that's what life's all about, man. You got to have these little things, which are little wins. And for me, winning the belt was a little win in my life because I never won anything in terms of a huge platform. The NCAAs, I came short. I took 4th, I took 6th. I never won it. In high school wrestling, I started in 10th grade, but my senior year, I lost to a guy that I beat twice. I beat him the week before, and then I lose to him to qualify for the state tournament. So I took 2nd. I didn't get to go to states. Only one guy got to go. So for me, winning this has been like the icing on the cake. But now I'm like, okay, now what? So I had to write new goals and reevaluate my mindset. And yeah, I might have just wrote it down on paper, but I've been thinking about this for a couple of months now. And again, I think that's just what life's all about. What keeps you inspired? What keeps you motivated to keep going? And for me, being TJ Dillashaw is a huge checkpoint on that list for me to accomplish. So I already got it written down how I want to finish him, and hopefully it comes to fruition. Just keep working towards that goal, and then when it does happen, take a picture, post it, and it shows the world like, man, it's all about how you prepare. It's all about the things you do when no one's watching, and that's all that matters.
Well, man, well said, dude. Like you covered a lot of things. If we had more time to chat, I would want to unpack all of them. It feels like Joe Rogan Experience. We could go for like 60,000. But I like what you said. I think that's kind of like the key to happiness. You can have billions of dollars if you're not waking up in the morning with a goal or chasing something. Life's kind of boring. And then also, I like how you speak about, and I know Dennis is going to go in a second. I like how you speak about being realistic. It's refreshing to hear a fighter kind of say, if I win or if this happens, whereas a lot of fighters, they don't even want to entertain the idea that, they might lose, but that's the reality. So I like how grounded you are, and I like how realistic you are, Aljo, with the stuff you're saying.
Yeah, and just off that, Cass, you mentioned it, Aljo. Petr Yan, he's fighting Sean O'Malley on the same event earlier on in the night. He's somebody who stumbled against you, and he's kind of perfect in that scenario that you broke down where, a champion loses, and then that mindset we've seen champions not be able to bounce back from. So I'm just curious, like, what are you expecting from Petr in this fight against Sean O'Malley? And what are your biggest questions for both Sean and Yan in that fight when you do end up getting a chance to watch it?
I mean, I think it's a good technical matchup for both guys. I mean, if you look at it on paper, obviously O'Malley's untested. The one time he had a test, he failed, and that was to cheat Oliveira. Obviously, there's a weird injury that he had with that leg kick. Not every day someone's going to kick you in the leg and then you get drop foot. I mean, he's got good footwork. He's got good range. He's got good movement. And then you got Petr Yan, who's super durable, super tough. As people will say, he's downloading data. I hate when people say that. It's the stupidest thing. If he could have punched you in the face, he would have punched you in the face. He just can't. So he's trying to get a read on you, but they call it downloading data. They make it sound like he's this unbeatable robot. I'm like, dude, whatever. If he starts behind the 8 ball like that and gives O'Malley a chance in a 3-round fight, an opportunity to run up the score on him, pick his shots, it could be a miserable night for Yan. But if Yan is able to touch him up, I think go to the body, chop down O'Malley's legs. I'm not saying O'Malley's legs are his weak point, because I know people tend to keep talking about that. But I do think with a tall, rangy fighter who's going to be hard to hit up top, how else do you get him? You attack the body, that's going to be a lot more stationary, and you attack the legs, that's going to be a lot more stationary. You can't get the legs out of the way the same way you can get the head out of the way, So I think Yan's going to have to come in with a smart IQ. Otherwise, he's going to go 0-3.
There you go, man. All right, final question, right? Instead, well, I don't want to do a prediction, a little bit cliche, and most fighters don't like giving him. But let's end on a bit of a wisdom from the Funk Master, Raul Rosas, obviously 17-year-old and a hot prospect. And it got us thinking, man, that was you once upon a time. Now that you've battled through so much adversity, the champion, and you didn't take the easy path to get there. I wonder, man, if you could give the young Aljo some advice and maybe correct something that he believed, at the time when he was maybe in Paul Rose's shoes, what would it be, man?
It would just be to be hungry, be passionate, be ambitious, which Rosa is very, very ambitious. Take full advantage of that. The spotlight's on you, but be smart in that process. Like I always say, keep your enemies close, because there's always things that you could learn from those enemies, quote unquote, instead of trying to make everyone against you. Pick and choose the right tools and partners that you could possibly work with that can help you grow and help mold your mind into a better, more suitable athlete, I guess, so that when you do get a prime position, you're able to capitalize on those moments. He wants to be champ by the time he's 19, 20 years old. Hey, man, the world's your oyster. Go for it. If you think you can get it done, go ahead and get it done. But I think it's very, very wishful thinking, in my personal opinion. Not saying it can't be done. The youngest guy was John Jones, and to think that he's going to outdo John without the accolades. And I compared him to Bo Nickel. I said Bo Nickel's actually an accomplished athlete already. Rosa is just a young kid who's talented, works hard, young, durable, tough, but he hasn't accomplished anything in any other type of sport. This is the first sport he's really, really doing. So for him to come in and think he's just going to run through everybody, I think that's wishful thinking. I think he needs to understand that there's a path you got to take. And if he takes the O'Malley route or something like that, and he gets groomed the right way, a Conor McGregor route, I think the sky's the limit for the kid, you know? So I think, again, I think you just got to look at other people's mistakes, see how you can learn from it. And again, talk your shot. I mean, he's 17 years old. Like, why not? You got the world at your fingertips. You know, I could only imagine how I would have been acting if I was in that position, you know, young, naive, think I know it all. And I've been that guy before. Mm-hmm. And my words of advice was to him was like, hey, man, like, definitely great performance, but I would slow down on the trash talk to everyone in the top 5 and top 10, unless you don't think they're going to be around by the time you get to that position, you know. But I get it. I get the hype. I get building yourself up. So I do think he should look at those guys as OGs that he should want to work with. Even for myself, like, I would have loved to have worked with Frank Yeager right there in New Jersey. Never got a chance to work with Frank Yeager. How good would that have done for my career if I got to grapple with him, to spar with him, to pick his brain, have him watch my sparring. Same thing with Dominic Cruz. I always been a big fan of Dom. I've been a big fan of Uriah Faber, Jose Aldo coming up. Like, to be able to train with guys like that. Instead, I became the guy by taking my lumps because I never had those opportunities. That's why as soon as I made some money, I traveled. You know, get out there, experience new gyms. Don't be an asshole. You know, don't go, like, be a good training partner. Don't go to these gyms being like, you know, trying to record stuff and like send videos to other people. Like, don't be that guy. You know what I mean? So there's just so many do's and don'ts in the sport. You don't want to have this aura about you where no one wants to associate with you. You know, be a good training partner, be accessible, help people the way that they help you, and that's really it, man. Just fucking be a good person. That's really it.
That's what it comes down to.
Oh, be a dog in the cage.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I love it, man. Well, we're going to see a couple of dogs in the cage, man. Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw at the super stacked UFC 280 on October 22nd. That's going to be the 23rd here in Australia and New Zealand. Follow the man on Twitter and Instagram at Funkmaster MMA. And also, you can enter the draw to possibly have your song as Aljo's entrance song. Artists can submit a song on Tully. And if Aljo and Joyner, Lucas like it, you might hear on the UFC 280 broadcast next month. Thank you so much for your time, man. What a pleasure chatting with you and picking your brain a little bit, Aljo. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. My grandma just landed from London last night. I got to go see her.
All right, man. Have fun with the grandma.